Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Testing, testing.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Alright, so I've decided on my 2 spells I'm going to have as the ranger. Fog Cloud and Alarm.
Nice. I put Grease.
You got
Was
Grease?
the newest spell that I could put on.
You got Grease? Yes.
Uh-huh. Yep.
That will actually be perfect for my plan for us.
I also have Firebolt, which lights flammable things on fire.
I like it. That is perfect. So
And I think my arm got a little bit bigger, but that's about it.
Nice. It's okay. Punch harder. I'm not going to complain.
I think you can probably hear my kids in the background.
Oh yeah, no worries.
So,
And I'm on my way to Roll20. I wanted to log on here first. So.
it was
cool.
between Alarm and Cure Wounds. But with what we have coming, I felt like Alarm will be more useful. As
What does Alarm
useful
do?
as Cure Wounds is. Alarm, I can set up an area of warning to give us a heads up when they were coming.
Enemies are coming. Oh, okay, cool. Perfect. Anybody know offhand if barbarians get anything cool level 2 or just stronger?
I am 95% certain that you don't get anything additional. I think it starts at level 3 is when you can do either an increase in your stats or you can do a feat.
Okay, cool.
Level 4 is actually the increase in stats or a feat.
So you get reckless attack and danger sense at level 2. So
Yeah,
you-
that's right. You get reckless attack.
So with reckless attack, you can specify before you strike if you want to make it reckless, which means you'll roll 2d20 and basically roll with advantage. And then if the next round, if you get attacked, then the enemy gets advantage back on you because you were being reckless.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's kind of like a gamble. Do you want to risk them striking you back, or do you think you can kill them in one hit, type of thing?
But it's not it's not an additional action to make that claim. So like whenever you heard me playing Tabby, I would rage as a bonus action, and then I would do reckless because I knew even if they had advantage and could hit me, I would only take half the damage.
Okay. And so it gives you
It
an
gives
extra
you
D2
advantage. Yeah.
advantage and them advantage.
Yep. Against you only. So like if your character and my character were next to each other and you hit them with reckless, but they chose to hit me, they wouldn't have an advantage on me. It's only on you.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's only the advantage to see if you hit.
Correct.
Cool. So I can do that now. Sweet.
Alrighty, so basically what happened last time, just to do a quick recap, is you were all traveling on a freighter ship, and then you hit a storm. The storm drove your ship closer to the coast, and then there was no lighthouse visible, so you hit the reef, and the ship was destroyed in the storm. You and your surviving party landed on the beach after some struggles and encountered ginormous scorpions, to which you fought. Both actually a couple.
And the new fun weapons out of.
Yep, you crafted some armor and some makeshift weapons, and were saved by Count Tazaroff, the orc chieftain warlord who has retired to this island. He invited you to his castle, to which you spent the night with a long rest, and found out in the morning that he plans to hunt you, for you are the most dangerous game and the most thrilling prospect of a hunt that he has, having exhausted most of the other wildlife on his island. So we pick up that morning. You have just begin to leave the castle, and you have
Real quick, I had every single person in the party, even if they can't wear it, I had everyone grab a set of armor. without all the other stuff we grab.
Oops, wrong one. So your party consists of both Gilrith, Movik, and Zalana, but you also have the 2 surviving members of your ship. You have Tate, who's kind of more the courageous halfling, and then you also have the unnamed elf guy who is not so courageous. You're welcome to name him whatever you want. Otherwise, I just titled his little character Elfie because I don't know what you named him.
So we still have Tate, you said?
Yes, Tate's alive.
And what kind of armor and weapon was available for us to grab?
Leather armor.
Leather armor. Okay.
I'm assuming your defense that you currently have is going to be better than the armor itself, but Gilbert still tells everyone, grab some armor.
Okay.
So with
He wants to
barbarians, you I think
play-
get to add, was it charisma and constitution or dexterity and constitution or something like that for your defense?
What was that?
I think as a barbarian, your unarmored defense, it means that you can
It's
add.
dexterity and constitution.
Yeah, so you get 2 ability modifiers to your defense. So what are your dexterity and constitution modifiers?
It's like +10 plus dex and con.
Dex is +2, and what was the other one?
Constitution?
Constitution.
And Constitution's +2.
Yeah, so you have a 14 defense if you don't wear armor. If you put on the leather armor, then it'd be a 13 defense. So you're actually better without it.
So when I on D&D Beyond, when I'm not wearing it, it says 16 armor, and when I am wearing
That's
it,
because
it
you have a
says-
shield. I think because you had gotten a shield from the ski.
Oh,
But your base without the shield
Yeah,
would be
that's right.
14, and then with the shield it's 16.
14.
And then, so you all basically you have 5 party members, so you're able to take 5 sets of leather armor, and then you all equipped with certain weapons. What weapons did you take? I think you
We
wanted
picked
everyone
up-
a crossbow, right?
Took as many crossbows, heavy crossbows, and light crossbows as we could. I grabbed a longbow and all the daggers I could carry.
And how about Movik and Zilana?
Let's see. I know I took a crossbow and crossbow bolts.
Did you want anything
I-
else for your other hand?
mm,
I think someone wanted a battle axe or something.
Yes, I had us grab a handful of battle axes as well.
So for Elfie and Tate, it sounds like you want them to have a crossbow, which they would have light crossbows, not heavy, just because they don't have any heavy. But they have light crossbows and they have a battle axe each.
And can I carry 2 battle axes, or is that a 2-handed thing?
If you can describe a way to kind of like have one on your back, you can take 2 weapons basically. So there was already a short sword that you guys had from the wreckage, if you wanted to keep that or not, and then you have your crafted weapons with the spike scorpion.
Oh yeah.
If you wanted to keep those or not, or if you wanted to re-equip with like the great sword or the battle axe or anything like that, that is in the pile of weapons. But basically, you would all be able to take essentially 2 weapons and anything else that you can find ways to carry on your person apart from your hands.
Okay. So I'll just have 1 battle axe then, and then the weapon that was made by Gelrith.
Okay, and then because the short sword actually has a
And-
sheath and everything from the wreck, if you wanted to keep that too, you could, because that'd be worn on a belt. That doesn't really take up
Yes,
any carrying.
Okay,
Whatever.
and I do have a shield.
You just gotta carry that unless you manufacture sling, which wouldn't be too hard given there's so many vines. So if you wanted to like sling that over your back from time to time, you could do that too.
Okay, cool.
And then Zilana, since you're kind of a sorcerer wizard, I think you're a wizard, right?
yes.
Anything that you're bringing, is it just kind of to haul for the others, or are you bringing any weaponry for
Yes.
yourself? Or
Pretty much, yeah. The only real weapons, I would probably take daggers. Probably have some daggers on me, but outside of that, it's just a crossbow.
so I think I said last time that there was about 8 daggers in the pile. So if you want to split those up, how many do you
Yes.
each take?
Yeah, so she'd probably take 2 and give the rest to the elf, probably.
To Gilrith?
I had a couple of daggers that he just kind of like stuck in his belt type thing or something, or on a bandolier.
Okay, so you will say you have
He-
6 and Zolana has 2.
He's got his scorpion tail staff mace thing. He's got a longbow that he just kind of like just slings over his shoulder. Like he kind of just has like all this jury rigged on him currently right now.
Like a traveling salesman.
Pretty much, yeah. He's got his shield on his back, being held securely with the quiver.
Okay, so you pretty much are all kind of squared away, hastily grabbing all this gear as the Count has been watching over you, and then the orc minion, his name is Ivan, he leads you into the area, and there's a grinding noise as the gate for the castle raises up and the drawbridge begins to lower as the chain unravels. You are met with just the morning air. Fog is in front of you. There's no rain. The rain's kind of all died away over the nighttime, and just this mist into the jungle lays before you. Ivan is silent as he just kind of steps aside, allowing you to pass.
Is he wearing a belt,
Who?
Ivan?
Yes, Ivan is dressed and he doesn't have any armor on, but he's like in a loose tunic, and he's got a leather belt. He's got hide boots, and he's got a short sword tucked into his belt as well.
Gareth is just gonna try to take Ivan, like sleight of hand Ivan's belts.
That would not really be doable. I wouldn't say you can't go and try to sneak someone's belt out of their pants without them noticing.
Sword would
19
fall.
sleight of hand, just like he's just
As soon as he
snagging
gets,
the.
yeah, as soon as you step forwards to him, he kind of withdraws back and reaches for his short sword.
Can I perceive what he's trying to do?
I'd say with a 19, like Gilrith is probably stealthy enough to try to do it subtly to where, I mean, you can roll a perception check against Gilrith's, but for Ivan, like that's not even something that would be on the table to be successful. It's like if you're in the supermarket with the whole 6 foot away from someone and you try to go into their space and try to pull off their belt. It's just not doable.
I was just gonna like try to steal it so we could have another thing to use.
Can I ask Gilrith what, like, hey Gilrith, what's going on, man? Are you looking for a belt or something?
So as there's an awkward silence, Ivan just kind of cranks the lever up, and then the drawbridge starts to close behind you, and you're forced out into the jungle.
Can I quickly try to persuade Ivan for his belt?
You could certainly try.
Can I try?
For more of a persuasion, you might be able to, but just trying to nick it.
Yeah. Can I just be like, Ivan, look, we set you free. We gave you back your, your ability to think. And now with that, could you think about giving us your belt?
The orc looks down at his pants and
it's just really nice, and it might be the last time I can hold a belt before I get killed.
You can roll a persuasion check, but with disadvantage, and we'll see if you get a natural 20.
8. Ooh, all right. Well, I got a 1 with a -1 to a 0.
Yeah. I would say this request of having someone take off their belt when they're already kind of negative towards you, virtually an impossible task.
Okay. Figured I'd give it a go.
With his other hand, he just kind of slams on the other lever, and then the grate falls down from the ceiling, blocking everything off. And then Ivan disappears.
Is there like a peephole to like? Is that peephole still there for us to like look in and see Ivan?
Yeah, you can see through the grate. It's a portcullis. That's what it's called. So
Okay.
yeah, so you can see through it. It's just now it's all blocked off.
And the
Okay.
drawbridge is not up yet.
Before they like head out, Gilbert is just gonna like take one more look at Ivan before he leaves, and just gonna say, "How long until your master gets bored of you and decides to hunt you as well?"
Ivan doesn't say anything. He maybe makes eye contact with you. He turns around and looks at you. And you can probably roll an insight check, but he doesn't say anything.
Insight 17.
Insight. So you could see that something about what you had said maybe had struck a chord in him. You're getting him to think, but he does not respond. He hasn't said a word since you've arrived. He's only grunted and been very stony.
I wonder if he's missing his tongue.
So before we leave, Zalia is gonna go up to a little space and call out to him, Ivan, wait. Does he stop?
Roll a perception check. Actually, I don't even know. Yeah, it would be perception. It's more like hearing perception though, because he's stepped around visibly. But yep,
14.
Yep, you'd be able to actually hear his footsteps kind of stop, and that kind of stone echo ceases. He's just around the corner, and you can tell that he
Okay.
stopped to listen.
Ivan, please reconsider leaving. There's so much more to this world, and it's absolutely incredible. And so much has changed since the war's passed. If we can get out of this, please come with us. I'm not even asking for you to help. I'm just asking you if this is a possibility and if it's something that we can achieve, that you will come with us and you will be able to live a new life somewhere. Please at least give it some thought.
Again, you're met with silence, but you can tell that his footsteps do not continue. He's just around the corner, perhaps in thought. You're not sure, but he hasn't left, and he doesn't say anything.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Ivan, if you do not actually have the ability to speak, will you stomp your foot once?
At that, you see him slowly come back around the corner, and he comes approaching the gate very silently, or very slowly, and he's got us up to the gate. He puts his hand kind of up on the portcullis and looks over through the gate at you. And then he just opens his mouth, and yes, you can see that his tongue has been cut out.
Oh, good call, Michael.
I thought as much. Did your master do this to you?
He shook his head. That's a no.
Or did this happen during the war?
He nods his head.
Would you consider coming with us?
Also, I apologize beforehand.
He doesn't again. He's not communicating except for with his body language. With your, I think it was a 14. Was that insight or whatever perception? You can tell that like he's almost having like an internal war within himself, and he's not at the point to where like you've won that battle to have him come with you, but he's maybe on the brink. You're getting pretty close, and you're not sure what it would take, but if you want to continue trying, you can definitely do so.
So I'm gonna reach into my little satchel on my side, and I'm gonna pull out. It's like a little coin, and on the front of it, it has the drawing of a tiefling that looks really similar to Zalana, and I'm gonna offer him the coin and say, here, whether you decide to join us in this escapade or not, I want you to have this as a token of my friendship. And if you leave this area, use this token to try to find me. I leave this with people I trust, and they're typically bartenders. So it's a good chance that you can find a bartender who will have one, who will know this, and will know where to find me. Let me help you if you want to explore the world. And I offer it to him.
As you reach through, he takes the coin, and his hand is probably so much bigger than yours. It's this huge
Oh
burly
yeah, for
orc.
sure.
But man, the coin is just sitting there in his palm, and then he slowly crouches down on into like a squat, and in the dust surrounding the edge of the castle runway, with his pinky, he writes in a very kind of badly spelled common, "He will kill you." And then he looks up and makes eye contact to you, and he shakes his head.
Oh, dang.
With
Keep
your
this in
help,
mind as well.
we could all live.
And if you were to join us, we could find a way to get you your speech back.
Roll a persuasion check with advantage.
Okay.
That would be actually for Gilrith, if he
Oh,
said that
sorry.
out loud.
19.
Can you roll 20? I didn't see.
All right, on roll 20. Persuasion with advantage.
Advantage. Ah!
It was better on the physical dice. It was a 19.
So he glances at you, and he kind of gives you a stink eye and looks down at his belt, and then he looks back over at Zelana, and then he's looking around as if he wants to try to write something additional, but he's on cobblestone essentially, so there's not that much, and he already wrote in the dust that was there. And then he looks over his shoulder, and then he looks back at Zelana and then the rest of your group, and he kind of like taps his watch, and then he looks up and points up at the sky and shakes his head, and then begins to back away.
There are spells that could help with this, you know.
I don't think it's worth trying to fight at this time. I'm going to call out to him one more time, and just say, Ivan, I hope you reconsider. We will be here, and we will fight till our last breath to stay alive. But if we win, please consider coming with us. And if we win, we will be back to tell you of our victory. And then I turn around and I'm like, guys, we gotta go. We can't stand here and try to convince this guy anymore. Let's go.
I just
So-
say, Zelana, do you know what direction you think we should go? Do you know what direction we could go? Maybe if you could point somewhere.
As you're about to like start talking, you all hear kind of the sound of a sword being unsheathed, and if you turn around, you see that Ivan has come back, and he's drawn his short sword, and he's kind of sticks it through the great blade, the handle first, so he's grabbing it by the blade, and he kind of makes a sound through his throat, but it's not like any words, and he just like, and then he like tosses the short sword into the air across the drawbridge to your group. And whoever wants to try to take it or catch it.
I'll pick it up.
Okay. He gives you his sword, which is a +1 short sword, orc made. It has kind of eagle heads on the guard, and then the pommel is that of a dragon snout.
Okay.
Nice.
Is that considered a light weapon?
Yes, it's a.
Cool, I can use it.
And then he, with his hands, he kind of like shoos you away with his hands, and then kind of runs off behind and disappears.
And he says
Oh,
it's a +1?
Yeah, it's a +1 attack, +1 damage.
Got it.
So it's, short sword does 1d6.
Yep, I'm just putting it in my D&D Beyond.
Okay.
She's gonna like try to strap it to her belt, probably not very well, but she'll get it on there and be like, all right, guys, we gotta go.
Gilrith will take the lead on this one as he like rushes them towards the jungle.
Yep. And then you are familiar with this type of terrain, so even with the fog, with the swamp, and kind of everything, you make out immediately the trail that you had come up from, and then you quickly are able to find out if you want to go back to the coast, if you want to kind of go inland, or if you want to follow more of a game trail. There's a couple different options you'd be able to pursue. What direction or what kind of
we're going
like
into
zone?
the jungle itself. He's leading them into the jungle itself.
So straight off road into the jungle.
Into the jungle. This is his favorite terrain. This is his turf.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a survival check with advantage.
Survival with advantage. 16.
Okay, so you're able to navigate through these trees, these for the different palm trees and all the different underbrush. You're familiar with
And
different
along
types
the
of.
way, he's grabbing any vines he can.
Yeah, easily. There's so if you go off road, there's all kinds of vegetation. Some of it you are very much aware is poisonous. Some of it is hazardous. Like there's different types of animated plants which would try to eat you, but you're familiar with those, so you're able to kind of avoid them. With a 16, you're basically avoid for the first potential encounter, and you make your way deeper into the forest. At this point, as you're getting further into it, the road is getting a little bit more difficult to follow. Tate, Elfie, Movac, and Zalana, I presume you're not. Is anyone proficient in survival?
No.
Okay,
Give me one.
so Movac, you are not having trouble because you are also. It might not be this terrain, but you're a barbarian. You've grown up in the mountains. You're hiking and climbing through untamed terrain is no difficulty for you. However, Tate, Elfie, and Solana are going to need to roll survival checks. I think would be appropriate.
Difficult terrain doesn't
Ow!
slow the group
9.
down.
Sorry, what was that, Gilroy?
Difficult terrain does not slow the group's travel down. Your group can't become lost except by magical means. Even when you are engaging another activity while traveling, such as foraging, navigation, or tracking, you remain alert to danger.
So that applies to
Good.
your group too?
Yes, this is the group. Like the group, because I am a ranger and it's my favorite terrain. Difficult terrain does not affect the group.
And that's through the natural explorer type thing?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then in that case, even though they would normally have gotten issues, you're basically they're standing at their sides to kind of like guide them and make sure every time that there's like a pitfall that they might fall into or traps that would be sprung on them, you're able to avoid those all. So that is the benefit of having a ranger. So the first couple hours pass as you get into the jungle, and you come upon kind of a ravine. It's slightly depicted, I guess, in this picture. However, there's like running water. There's a very high, rapid-paced river in the bottom, and you all come to the edge of this river. Let me put you all on the board.
Is the poison skin contact?
Like the poison vines.
Yes.
They're animated poison vines. If you wanted to try to kill it and to engage with it, you could use it
this
to
looks
harvest.
I'm basically he's like wants to collect vines and to help set up traps.
So it's considered a monster. Like it has stats. If you wanted to actually fight it, you're able to avoid it because of your survival check. But if you wanted to actually go and try to kill it, you could.
Oh, that's fine. We should leave it up because it just means more things that the enemy has to worry about if they aren't familiar with what they look like.
Okay.
No. Leave the plan alone. It didn't do nothing to you.
You're off too big.
I agree. We're just why don't we base whatever trap we want to do? I'm all for a pit at this point. Why don't we base the trap that we're going to do, and then if we need to go back and get this extra stuff, let's do it. But let's work with the materials we have now, because I have a feeling we wasted a lot of time trying to convince Ivan.
I mean, it wasn't that long. We probably spent like 5 minutes doing that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to lose a lot of time on that, because I think we all kind of had the same thought of trying to get Ivan to go with us, but I didn't want to waste too much time on it.
Gilrith basically was collecting what vines he could along the way.
Yep. again, your carrying capacity is like your arms are full of stuff. So if you ended up getting into a combat, then you'd probably have to drop stuff to actually focus on engaging. But since you avoided any combats, you just have all that stuff in your arms, and probably Tate and the elf are kind of already filled to capacity with what they can take. So, but you do have probably 100 feet of vines that you've been able to just kind of cut down easily on the road.
Okay.
And depending on like if you're using them for things at the same time, you can always replenish. There's basically unlimited vines in the forest. But you do
There's
get up.
plenty of fine too.
Can I do a perception check?
Yes, you absolutely can.
So is this like high up, or where is this here? Is this like
So
with the rock?
yeah, so you're getting up to this area, and
And
do you have the ability to maybe roll 20, Nate, or no?
how?
On the column bar on the left, you see kind of like a pointy arrow, a cube that
Oh,
goes
okay.
down.
I
A
see it.
D20 on the bottom, and then you just click the D20 to see,
Okay.
and then just add your bonus. Or you don't even have to.
There you go.
That's a natural 20. So, you hear the
Okay, I'll
sound.
try that. That's cool.
You see this. You hear the sound of rushing water. That is going to be flowing this way. Downstream is that way. That's a terrible arrow, but you get the idea. And then the bridge is broken. You cannot cross this bridge from there unless you make a way over it. You're surrounded by forest. There's palm trees. There's leafy bushes surrounding you. There's vines hanging down from the treetops. As you kind of get to the edge, the tree line kind of ends, and then you're here at the edge of this cliff. To go down into the ravine is probably about a 25-foot incline down there on the edge, very steep. The river is probably about 15 to 20 feet across, depending on at the widest, and then another 15 to 25 feet up on the other side. The bridge has been broken. You're not sure if it was something heavy that smashed it, or if it was an animal, or if it was something
It's a
more.
rope bridge, I assume, right?
What was it?
It's a rope bridge, right?
Yes, and it's been destroyed on both ends. Basically, are hanging down to the water.
I can work with this. How sturdy do the boards look?
Rotted. Completely
Okay.
rained through.
And how sturdy does the rope look?
The ropes are like holding the existing pieces together. It looks very, again, old, waterlogged, snapped in the middle and destroyed portion of the bridge. Maybe a heavy being had tried to go across it or something. But this is probably, you would guess, over 100-year-old bridge, and it's just.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, best if I'm able to salvage the rope.
Depending on what you wanted to use it for, maybe. Like it's not going to be able to carry a lot of weight, but if you're just trying to use it for like trigger mechanisms or something, then it could probably do that. It could snares and whatnot, minor.
Oh, yeah, snares, basically.
Yeah, you could take some time to try to harvest the rope if you want.
I'm gonna look at the group and say, I think we should really keep on moving. And that bridge doesn't look like it's gonna hold me, but it'd be great if we could go across it to get farther away from that guy behind us with, killing on his
The bridge is
mind.
broken.
Yeah, so the bridge is basically hanging down like that into the water on both sides,
Oh.
and then it's broken in the middle. And there's just like water.
I look over at Tate. Oh, Tate, about how much do you weigh, and do you like flying?
Well, I can't say that I ever flew, but I'm a good 75 pounds at least.
75 pounds. Oh, I used to throw sheep 5 times his size. Maybe I can
He looks
give him
starstruck.
one of your vines, and we can go ahead and toss him over. Get this bridge in working order enough to get across.
Now, I don't want to
Or at
die,
least
but if I were to
climb
die
over.
like that, that'd be pretty awesome.
If, like, pulls out the sturdy vine.
God, I
Hey.
wish he was a dwarf.
I kind of have an idea. And Tate kind of comes up and he points at the vine. How about you make that into more of like a grappling hook, instead of throwing me, and that way I don't die, and maybe we can get the same result. Yeah? And he kind of like looks at this great idea, right?
Zalia's gonna look over and be like, she's gonna look at Malvac and be like, how much can you lift?
What's your strength score?
16. I can lift a lot.
If he ain't willing to go, throw me. I'll do it.
Tate like looks at you like, I mean, I'm smaller than you, but you do that?
She looks over at him and she's like, well, one of us has to not be a pansy, so throw me.
He steps aside looking grumpy now.
He's like, fine then, be
Better-
the one to get thrown. Your choice.
Better you die than me, I guess.
Actually,
Come on, Tate. Come on.
Hang
Put
on.
this around your waist. Let me
Gilreth
give you a
holds up a
toss.
Gilreth holds up a finger and
Your
says,
finger.
what I can do is I can have you guys hold on to this end of the vine, and I can scale down the side of the wall. Then I can swim across the river and climb back up.
That doesn't sound as fun, but if you like to get wet, all right.
So, Zalia's gonna pull the crossbow off her back and hold up a bolt and be like, do we just want to tie it to this and I'll just shoot a tree?
Tate looks like, that's a brilliant idea. I can't believe I didn't think of that.
You're like, well, you ain't the smart one, obviously, Tate. Sorry. You're also not the one who wants to get thrown, which I think sounds fun.
With my perception check, how fast did the river look like it was going, and did I see anything that looked menacing inside it? Because I hit that 20.
Yeah, so you can see that there's jagged rocks in it that are kind of creating those white caps every time there's a circle in the river. That's a rock coming up and there's just water cascading over it. Those would be pretty brutal if you got stuck in there, or any of the like the underneath where all the water's basically cycling. It could drown you pretty easily. The water's rushing pretty high. It would be probably a class 5 rapid here, which is pretty bad.
Okay, not an easy swim.
No, Gurth can has a swim speed. Can you breathe underwater or no?
He can hold his breath up to 15 minutes.
Yeah, so he'd be able to get across. It'd just be a tough swim for him, but he'd be able to do it. All the dangers to him would just be getting battered by the rocks, which he could probably avoid having a swim speed.
Okay, cool. Well, I look over to Zilana and I say, yeah, shoot it, shoot the tree, it deserves it. And then I look at Tate and I'm like, and then you, little man, you climb over afterwards and then you tie it off nice and tight.
Oh, I can climb it for sure. Just I want one tied to me in case I fall in. I don't know if it'll stick on the other side.
Well, it's either this or we throw you.
Let's try the crossbow.
Sounds like a plan. All right, so I tie I tie the vine to the crossbow, and I pick the biggest tree I can because this is gonna be my first time using a crossbow.
Just
And
make an
gonna
attack roll.
take the shot. All right. So that's 1d. That's 1d. 120 plus 4. I haven't put it in my
On your
character
inventory.
sheet yet. So 20 plus. Let me triple check that it's the 4. I want to make sure I get it right. Yes.
So you shoot the bolt and it goes into the tree. You hit it square in the middle just like you're aiming, and the vine just snakes out after it across the ravine and falls into the river on the other side.
I guess
Oh.
I had enough.
Tate, I'm glad that wasn't you, man.
Yeah, I think we forgot to tie it down at all.
If we were shooting it, I would have been holding on to it.
It snaps in the middle then. With a 6, that's not successful.
Can I Can I look around for a spear? Like, did we grab any spears, or are there any spear-like items that I can javelin into a tree?
You
A
can
little bit of
roll a
strength.
survival check.
I can actually create a javelin.
How long would that take?
You just have to be able to find the material. If you're trying to just make like a harpoon with just shaving it off with your axe or short sword, you can make a makeshift spear as long as you can find a good piece of wood. If you're trying to craft into like a head for the javelin, then that would take longer. But if you're just trying to make a pointy stick, that's not that difficult.
The pointy stick isn't going to stick into anything.
No. Could Gilrith just do a pretty good job tying off one of those daggers to the end of a stick so I could toss it pretty quickly? I just don't want to waste too much time.
Yeah, you can do a sleight of hand if you want to try to tie the rope. And then meanwhile, you hear the sound of a big clatter of arms and weapons and armor as Elfie drops everything to the ground and looks irritated at you all. Look, I'm not going to be somebody's like slave boy and carry all these things around. You guys are taking so long. I should just go off into the woods and figure it out myself. He'll hunt you since there's more of you, and I'll just find my own way.
You don't think after he's done hunting us and takes the head count, he's not going to realize one's missing? Really? Your odds are better with us.
Gilrith is just gonna like march up to him and stare him dead in the eyes. Do you really think your cowardly ass is going to survive out there in that jungle without me?
So you could both roll a perception or intimidation either way. For him, he doesn't look like he has that much resolve. It's more like frustration that this is taking so long and like time's running out.
Kind of, I yelp in shock and, oh, I didn't even know you were here. Who are you?
The elf folds his arms and turns away from you both. He's like, fine, well get us across this bridge then, or else we're all gonna die.
Go ahead and come to your senses. Let's get across this bridge.
I'm gonna eyeball Tate versus Elfie to see which one looks lighter.
Okay.
I need just a perception check.
Tate definitely looks lighter. Elfie's not too much heavier than him. Like Tate's just small but solid. Elfie is kind of short and skinny, but he's probably still 110 pounds. Tate is like 75 pounds. He's like a really fat kid.
Gilrith has tied off a dagger with a vine and just kind of starts swinging it like a grappling hook and is hurling it to the other side. Not very well, apparently, but he's holding onto the other end of the vine so he can just pull it back.
Yeah, so the knife just kind of goes into the river and you're able to retrieve it, pulling it back.
Can I give that a go?
Yep, just for making an attack roll.
Is it dexterity or attack?
Yep.
No, just a standard attack roll.
With proficiency.
You would be to throw a dagger. Is it 20? Is it 10 foot by and then 20 foot range, or is it 20 foot by 40 range?
I think it's 2060.
It's 2060. Okay,
yeah.
So yeah, then you can throw it across. You'd be aiming for this pole here, or the other one, to be able to hit it within your throwing range.
Okay, and would I be doing it since it's a ununique weapon? Would it be proficiency plus dexterity bonus? Or
yeah, because it's basically you're just throwing the knife. You're able to do it. I presume you'd be throwing it by the blade, which means that the vine wouldn't really be an issue in the way. So you could just roll normal.
So just a normal d20.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm gonna do while
Ooh.
splashes into the water again, but you're able to pull it back
up. Gilrith will tell him, keep trying to get it across there, make sure it's sturdy. I'm gonna set up some traps in the area. So
Perfect. Make your magic, little man. I like it.
he's going to kind of like start setting up a handful of traps, using vines, and he's going to take one of. How many crossbows did we grab?
So Elfie and Tate both had one, and I think Zilana had one, but it's hers, I think.
Yeah.
So you have basically 2 spares that you can take with you, unless you have one for yourself as well.
So
He
is this
did bring
a cliffside and then it drops down into here?
Yeah, basically, no, so this is the high ground, and then if you were to kind of go down, or this slopes down and it doesn't become so much of a cliff, down here
Oh, okay.
it's lower elevation. So if you wanted to try
Okay,
to
gotcha.
swim from here, this is probably only like a 5 to 10 foot slope down to the river's edge, versus up there it's higher up.
Gotcha. Okay, so like all the way up here, where like all the way along here is high ground, and then down here is low ground.
Yep.
Okay, call me crazy, but
All right, crazy.
awesome, cool. Thank you for being on par with me. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
What about building a like trap pit down here and fighting him up here, and then Sparta kicking him down into the trap pit?
I don't know if I
Just
can
saying.
Sparta kick anybody. I'm too short.
Oh well, you can definitely like ram him.
I can
or we'll just throw
bend
you
over.
like
I
a
can hide
dagger.
behind his knees, and you can push him over me.
I can move it, kick him, if you like.
Gilbert tells the party he will be right back. He's going to go a little ways into the forest or the jungle, away from where the current party is, like a fair distance away, and he's going to set up the armor.
Okay.
And make it look like there is, make it look like somebody's wearing the armor, like a farther distance away from where the party is heading.
Okay. So just roll a sleight of hand check, I guess.
And sleight of hand.
Or if you have a deception skill, then you could do that too. I'd say
While
actually
that's going on,
sleight of hand would be more appropriate. Yeah.
how would you like? How do you do it so it's like sleight of hand or one of these other things on here? I don't see it under the rolling.
Oh, for the dice. So when I'm using Roll20, there's just the dice for the
Oh.
D4 through the D100, and
And you
then
just add.
yeah, and then I just add it in. Now you can put your characters into Roll20, which I've not done that before, but I just like being able to see the dice in the chat tray.
I can walk you through that real fast. So at the top, like where the chat box is and stuff like that, to the right of the speech bubbles, there's journal. Go ahead and click on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see Movec. Click on that. And then that is a character sheet. So what you can do is you can click edit character sheet directly. And if you even just really basic, fill in your strength, your dexterity, your constitution, your intelligence, your wisdom, and your charisma from the stats from D&D Beyond, then all of the skills will populate in there as well. And then all you have to do is click on it, and it will roll the dice.
Okay.
Okay, and then while that's happening, so Gareth, you're able to set up one of the armor things. There's not a lot of like appropriately sized foliage that you can use to try to shape a body, but you can make the armor just kind of like standing there like basically like a standing target type of a situation with one of those like bob dummy things, if you've seen those before. So you're not sure it looks that convincing, but you can get it to stand up if that's what you're trying to go for.
Yes, basically like kind of covering it with enough foliage so it looks like there's someone actually there without there being somebody there.
Okay.
So like try to draw them away, saying like, "Hey, we went this way."
Okay. Now, if you're
And
trying to
he's
actually
going
make
to-
more like a deception like that, where you're trying to like make false tracks and stuff, you can do that with a survival check to try to mislead, but you're fairly certain that with an 11, like you're.
Survival?
Was it?
Net 20 on survival.
Oh, that's
And
why.
he's using a branch, like when he's heading back, he's using a branch to like wipe away his tracks that went leading there.
Yeah, so you can definitely do that. I would prefer you to roll 20, just because I would like to be able to see the dice rolls.
All right. And I will go ahead and roll 20. So that survival on roll 20 is a 10, but
So you are able to place your false trail down there. You've got the armor in the jungle. Again, the armor, you're not so much that it did so much. It's not that misleading. It just looks like there's someone set some armor up in the trees. But you got the trail fairly down, you think.
and then like as he's heading back, he's kind of like clearing his tracks to make it look natural.
Perfect. So back at this kind of area over here, Elfie has gone up to the edge of the bridge, and Tate's standing there with them, and they've just been kind of talking, trying to see if they can come up with something to do. Elfie looks like he's starting to get a little bit panicked, and they're talking about maybe even just trying to swim across, and Tate's trying to talk him out of it because he doesn't like to swim, and they're just they're getting a little on edge. You guys have probably spent about 4 to 5 hours in the jungle so far between trekking and here since you left there, and you remember in your minds one day and he would be after you guys.
All right, then
So-
the best bet would be
Oh my god, we have so much time. One whole day. Oh jeez, I was like sweating beads. All right, come here, Elfie. I'm gonna toss you over.
Wait, no, you don't touch me! Don't touch me!
Ooh, I'm not gonna touch you. I'm just gonna throw you. Don't be weird about it.
short time later, Gilbert will return.
Yeah, and you find pretty much the party kind of at the same kind of location, the same obstacle, and not a whole lot of success in trying to go across.
We're going to do that dagger trick one more time with the vine, just grappling hook it across.
Okay, and then is that what you rolled the 21?
Yes.
So you kind of come out of the forest and you can see everything's basically status quo. So you take that knife and you toss it, and it hits perfectly into the opposite post, creating a green rope vine just stretched across. You're able to pull it tight across.
Does that look like it would be sturdy enough to like hand over hand climb across?
I will say just yes, because you probably grabbed the better vines, and you could have even woven a couple together to make it stronger. So yeah, with over a 20 result, you're able to do so correctly. You've essentially fashioned a rope to go across.
All right, and then he's gonna make sure it's secure on this end, and he's gonna start setting the rest of the party across.
Yeah, wait, I should go first. I'm the lightest. If I don't break it, then at least I'll get across.
Yeah, then he could tie it off more securely.
Yeah. Send the little one over.
Okay. Tate grabs
Maybe
it.
with another vine attached to his behind.
Oh yes, that's a great idea. And then he begins to hand over hand climb across. And as he goes further down, there's the weight of the vine kind of bows down heavily, but it holds and he makes it across. As soon as he does, he ties the second vine across, and you're able to now have two, which will support a lot better. And I'm not going to bother drawing one, but there's now 2 vines across.
Yeah. So now you can actually just kind of footing on one and hands on the top.
Yeah, you could do it that way.
Right?
You could do it that way, or however you want.
Hey, little man, make sure you tie that off. I mean, as much as I like the grappling hook and all, a knot is always what I like.
He does so.
Noise.
Tries.
Zolana, you go
God.
next.
There goes your advantage. So he tries to tie the vine on the other side, but there's not a whole lot of length to it, so it's a pretty crappy knot. But you still have the other rope too, so you can go ahead and I'll make, I guess that would be acrobatics, or if you wanted athletics, either one would work to get across.
Let's see.
And we'll tie a vine to
I'll
you as
take
well. Like,
I'll take acrobatics. So I'll go
and-
next.
Okay.
And I did.
So you using both of the ropes, the one that Tate tried to tie off undoes itself and falls down into it, and you're almost falling, but between keeping your hand on the second vine and then Gilrath and what does it say? Nate. Sorry, I was supposed to say your character's name, Movik. You're able to stabilize. Man, I can't remember your guys' names. Zolana. You're both. Your both names are correct, but his is wrong. So yeah, you're in the middle and you catch yourself, and you are able to continue across. But now there's only one vine.
again, we did tie a vine to Zolana just in case she did fall.
Yep. So you're able to
Alright.
go back to 2.
Yeah, so I'd tie it off on the other side. Make it nice and tight.
And he will reel in. Well, the other vine is on the other side still. All right, you're
So
up next, Elf.
So you have 2 ropes again.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna raise my hand and vote for myself to go very last with as many vines as possible because I'm quite big.
So the elf breaks one of the ropes again, but luckily you have 2, and is he tied off as well?
Yes.
Okay, so he's able to get across as well, but now and you're back to 2 ropes again, but one of them snapped.
Oh, good job, Elfie. Yeah, no, that's great. I'm feeling real comfortable over here.
He seems really proud of himself.
Movik, you're next.
Wait, what?
You're next.
Don't you think maybe you might want
I'm
to go
going
with
to-
another vine to make it so I don't have to crawl over these small little wisps of... How far is the jump?
It's like 20 feet.
Right, I
22.
go for it.
So I was gonna say there are 3 people here. We could all hold on to the rope and get you across with the extra one.
All right. Yeah. Can you guys please get a grip on that because this is gonna be interesting.
Maybe you can
So
touch
I
the
still don't
bottom.
know how to.
Tate, Elfie, and
Yeah,
Zolana
I'm
don't
basically-
look like that buff, I
What-
presume.
What Gilrath will do is we're going to tie a rope vine around Movek, and he's going to use take the longer part of the vine and kind of use the tree as a whatchamacallit, and he's going to use to help support his weight.
Oh, like a pulley
Movek's
type
weight.
thing?
Yes. That way, and he's gonna slowly release more vine as he crosses.
So, Movok, does that mean you're going to be walking tight wire across the rope?
I mean, he
well,
still can,
No,
shimmy
I have a
across.
rope beneath me and a rope in my hands, and then I'll have a rope around
There's a vine around his waist.
my
as well.
chest.
Okay, so yeah, you would be able to roll a advantage on your check as well.
But I've got the
Oh wait,
vine partially with the tree to help.
acrobatic advantage.
Or athletics, your choice.
I got
Your
a plus
athletics
4
is
with
probably better.
acrobatics. No. Oh wait, my athletics is better. Sorry. Yep, you are right. I still don't know how to do my exact.
You can just roll the
Acro-
dice and then add your modifier after you roll it.
Okay, I'm gonna do this plus 5. Well, no, that's 5 of them in a row. Sorry. All right.
You 96,
So-
you just step across having grown 95
A lot
feet
of
tall.
those are pretty good.
Did you get the stats? Did you get the stats in on your
Yeah,
character
I
sheet?
put it in. Yeah.
Yeah, so you should just be able to double click on athletics and it'll roll the dice for you.
In my character sheet.
Uh-huh.
Oh, let's see. Acrobatic or athletics. Does that work?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
20.
we'll take the first one, which is the 25 with your bonus. So you are able to get across with ease. And it seems like these vines that you've chosen are good, solid ones. And you cross.
Alright, so
Oh,
the reason Gilrath made sure he was the last one over, he's untying the vines on this side.
Alright.
And
Alright.
he's
Are
going
you gonna
to
swim over and climb at the same time?
try to swing over.
How?
With careful acrobatics and
But it's
he's
not
basically
actually
doing-
hooked. But it's not actually
So-
hooked into anything for you to swing.
It's on the other side. Your guys' side. It still should be
Yeah.
tied off, right?
So you,
Uh huh.
So
It's-
he's
so there is
Taking those ropes
yes,
once
he's
he gets
going
in the
to-
water.
he's-
I don't think so. I think we lost him.
let me see if I can.
There we
Yeah. Hey.
go. We hear you.
on this side. I've already untied this end of the vine bridge.